Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another episode of Fighting Fantasy Fun. And today, if you have been keeping track, it is time for Fighting Fantasy Roulette. Yes, the exciting and highly dangerous game in which you don't play just one book, but you play all the books. So this is a new tradition that I've been having the last few times. The thing is, every time I finish a book now, and of course last week I finished Trial of Champions, very enjoyable. And every time I finish a new book now, I'm going to do one episode of Fighting Fantasy Roulette. What is Fighting Fantasy Roulette? There might be some new viewers out there who are wondering what on earth is that. The rules are quite simple. You start with a book, and in my case I'm starting on book number 1, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and I start on paragraph 1, and I read the paragraph and I make the choice at the end of it, if there is a choice. Sometimes paragraphs just lead you to another paragraph, but the main point is when I make the choice or when I move on to the next paragraph, I do it in the next book, Citadel of Chaos. So I don't look in this book, I look in this book. So beginning here it says turn west or go east. And so you say, yeah, go west, and then it says go to paragraph 71 or 278, can't remember which one, and then I go to that in book number 2. And then I make a new choice here based on whatever's going on there. I fight whatever battles have to be fought, and the idea is that to win Fighting Fantasy Roulette, you have to get to a winning paragraph, so paragraph 400 usually. But more likely, traditionally, you end up with an insta-death because that is more likely to happen. So it is far more likely. I mean, each book usually has several paragraphs where the game ends right there and then. And when you play this, it is quite likely to bump into them. Now, because I'm doing this in the same order every time, I do book number 1, book number 2, etc., it is possible to map this, and of course I have been thinking about doing that, but for now what I have been doing is every time I play I write down the paragraphs that I go past. That's a little bit bright there, sorry about that. And the thing is that I'm going to try to find a new path now, because I know that all the paths I've taken before end in death. So I want to see if I can find a new one that leads to new things, because it's like a tree. You start with one paragraph, you got 2 choices in each of those. Actually, the first 2, they don't really have that many choices. One of them has 3, the other one has 1, and then it sort of spreads out and you get a more and more possibilities. So there are quite a few paths through. Although I have discovered that many other possible paths in Fighting Fantasy Roulette, starting with Warlock of the Firetop Mountain, does lead to reduction in skill, which is horrible. Now, another thing that I usually do in Fighting Fantasy Roulette is I start with maximum abilities, so that will not be initially or very likely to be what kills me. So I start with skill 12, stamina 24, etc. And I think I also should start with some money and rations and maybe a potion as well. Might be an idea, especially since there are so many places you can lose skill. I mean, one playthrough I did of Roulette recently, I had got -5 skill, which is quite a lot. So I think I'm going to sort of amend the rules a little bit now and say that I'm starting with 20 gold, 10 rations, each of which can restore 4 stamina and a potion of skill. I think that's going to be my new thing now. And I'm still have to see if I can find a path through. Simple as that. Okay, so as you can see, it is a nice summery May here. It's freezing outside and it's raining, but in a few days time finally we might actually get some summer weather up here. Really looking forward to that. So you may also have noticed that I took a week off from making new videos. Now there was a new video on Tuesday, which was my Trial of Champions video. That was recorded the week before. And also I posted a music slash Xenodream art video as well on Friday, I think it was. So yeah, so that's the week off for me. That's my first proper week off, really, from making videos since I started really going for it on YouTube. Anyway, I'm back this week with normally scheduled programming, and also got some new things coming up as well. So anyway, without too much more fuss, I think I'll get started. So brace yourselves. It is Warlock of the Firetop Mountain first, and let's see where we get from there. Boom. Okay, here we are on my desk. I've got my book. Well, one of my books. I've got more books right off to the side here, ready to go. I've got my pencil, pen. I only need 2 for this because I'm not doing a proper map. Got my dice. I'll probably need those at some point. And I've got my maps, I could say, I suppose, from previous playthroughs. That tells me which path I took. And I made a little note here of a path I think is the one I want to take this time. Let's just get started. So we will have skill 12, stamina 24, luck 12. Also got gold 20 gold, I think is fine. Rations 10. Provisions, I guess, is good. And a potion of skill. And then my plan, I'll just write down the first numbers here. So our plan is to start on number 1 in Warlock of Firetop Mountain, go to 71, 218, 274, 91, 332, 272, and that should lead me to somewhere I haven't been before. So that is the plan now. So that is, yeah. Let's see if we can do that. So let's get started with the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Always so nostalgic reading the first paragraph of Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Even though, of course, the first time I read this would have been in Norwegian, so it would be a bit different. But it wasn't long after I had the Norwegian version that I also bought the English one as well. So just for reference, really. At last your 2-day hike is over. You unsheathe your sword, lay it on the ground and sigh with relief as you lower yourself down onto the mossy rocks to sit for a moment's rest. You stretch, rub your eyes and finally look up at Firetop Mountain. The very mountain itself, it looks menacing. The steep face in front of you looks to have been savaged by the claws of some gargantuan beast. Sharp rocky crags jut out at unnatural angles. At the top of the mountain you can see the eerie red colouring, probably some strange vegetation, which has given the mountain its name. Perhaps no one will ever know exactly what grows up there, as climbing the peak must surely be impossible. Well, if it's very craggy it would actually be quite easy to climb. I would think, for someone who knows how to climb things. Your quest lies ahead of you. I also got a cup of tea, actually. Got a cup of tea, yeah. Your quest lies ahead of you. Across the clearing is a dark cave entrance. You pick up your sword, get to your feet, and consider what dangers may lie ahead of you. But with determination you thrust the sword home into its scabbard and approach the cave. You peer into the gloom to see dark, slimy walls with pools of water on the stone floor in front of you. The air is cold and dank. You light your lantern and step warily into the blackness. Cobwebs brush your face and you hear the scurrying of tiny feet. Rats, most likely. You set off into the cave. After a few yards, you arrive at a junction. Will you turn west or east? And my plan was to turn west. So you turn west, go to paragraph 71 in book number 2. Citadel of Chaos. Oh yeah, I like this one. Okay, 71. You draw your sword and hack at the tentacle. The tentacle will not fight back as will a normal creature, but instead is trying to drag you into a large hole in the ground which is opening around its base. You do not need to roll for the tentacle, as it has an attack strength of 15 and a stamina score of 2. Throw for combat in the normal way, but if your own attack strength comes to less than 15, do not subtract any points from your own stamina. However, if you do not defeat the creature within 3 attack rounds, it succeeds in dragging you into its lair and your adventure is over. If you do defeat it, you can peel the tentacle off your leg and proceed to the main entrance to the Black Tower. So, basically, attack strength of 15, and I've got an attack strength of 12 plus 2 dice. So, in order for me to defeat this, I have to get an attack strength of 16, which means I need to roll a 4 on 2 dice at least once within 3 rolls. Otherwise, this adventure is already over. So, I rolled 4, and that's it. I've now won that battle. I defeated the tentacle, and I shall move on to 218. In front of you is a large wooden door, firmly locked. You may either knock 3 times for the guard, or you may use a strength spell to try to open it. No, hang on. That's the same book. I'm not supposed to read the same book. I'm supposed to move on now to The Forest of Doom. And go to 218 in The Forest of Doom. There we are. So, FF2 and 3. You curse as you wonder who set this infernal trap. After 10 minutes, you hear footsteps and begin to panic, making frantic swaying movements in the air, trying to free your foot from the noose. Then a small boy dressed in green leather shorts and green shirt appears. He is chewing on what looks like a chicken bone. He walks underneath you, looks up and smiles, saying, "Haha, somebody's caught in the ogre's tree trap." You ask him politely to pass your sword. "That will cost you 5 gold pieces, or perhaps you have a nice magical item for me," he says, eyes widening. You are in no position to argue and must give the boy the gold or one of your magical items. I don't have any magical items, but this time I do have gold, so I'm going to pay him 5 gold pieces. The small boy then passes you your sword and runs away down the path. You cut the rope, holding your foot, and fall heavily to the ground. You get to your feet and brush the dirt from your clothes. To continue northwards, turn to 274. And that is Starship Traveler, which usually makes it a little bit different. So 274. Let's see what we got on 274. They spring to attention as you approach, leveling their sticks at you. One of your party reacts in haste, going for his phaser, and a missile shoots from the end of one of the guard's sticks, hitting him square in the chest. Throw a die for each crew member. The one with the highest score has been hit and is seriously wounded. If you have your medical officer with you, throw 2 dice. If you roll less than your MO's skill, your over-anxious crew member will not die, but may take no further part in the action until he is returned to the ship. If you do not have your MO, or if the number rolled equals or exceeds your MO skill, you cannot save this crew member and he drops down dead. The guards keep you covered and usher you into the keep. Turn to 91. Of course, I don't have a crew. Not really, so I'm going to... of course, I just lost the crew now. I didn't lose anything myself, so that's fine. So I just have to go to 91 for my next paragraph, which is in City of Thieves. So let's see, F4, 5, 6, 7. Let's put the numbers in there as well, just so I don't squint and look at the wrong one. So we are now on paragraph 91. You pass a beggar in the street. He's sitting in the gutter and holds an empty tin in his hand. If you wish to toss a gold piece into his tin, turn to 332. That is what I'm intending to do. So that means I'm down to 14 gold, actually. So 332. Next book, which is Death Trap Dungeon. Yep. Didn't enjoy this as much as I enjoyed Trial of Champions, I must say. Trial of Champions, it's a lot more sophisticated, I think, in terms of structure. 332, yes. Your gem drops into the pool with a dull plop. As you wait for something to happen, you start to feel faint. The gas rising from the pool is toxic, and you slump to the floor unconscious. Test your luck. And of course, this luck roll will be automatic. So I rolled a 9. My luck is down to 11. If you are lucky, turn to 53. Oh. And I was planning to go to 272, but I can't do that. I was just looking at the numbers, so I'll have to go to... That's going to mess up my plan here. But I'll probably find somewhere else I can sort of sneak off from the path that I was planning to go now. I just looked at the numbers, so I think there's a chance on my next paragraph too to go off somewhere I haven't been before. I'll just double check now. I think yes, next paragraph I can go off somewhere I haven't been before. So so I am going to 53 and 7. Yeah, so 7, of course, book number 7, Island of the Lizard King. I didn't enjoy this so much. I know lots of people really like this one, and I think one of the reasons is many had this as their first book as well. But the thing is that next to, I think, the first 6 books in the series, it does feel a bit of a lightweight. I mean, it literally is thinner as well, but it's something about the adventure and the structure of it. It just feels a little bit half-baked, a little bit sort of rushed, a little bit not so much care going into it, a little bit haphazard. So it's not, yeah, it feels like so much less work went into this than went into the first 6. Right, so 53 is my paragraph, and I'll go to 53. A sweet smell floats down from the upper foliage of the tree, which makes you feel relaxed and... Oh, hang on, is that the one I want to... Yeah. Makes you feel relaxed and drowsy. As your eyelids droop, you do not see a thick vine lower itself. I should put down the... let's see, so that's test lock. And this is test lock again. That's a lot of luck testing. Yes, you do not see a thick vine lower itself down from the branches above. It silently wraps itself around your neck and starts to squeeze. You awaken, choking, and try to grasp your sword, which is lying by your feet. Test your luck. Because now I could fail. Nope, didn't fail. So, if you're lucky, turn to 256. And of course, I was hoping to get off on the different paragraph. But again, I haven't made the notes on my map that actually show me... that means I'm actually getting on one of the paths I've been before, and it's not one I like. I hope I'll be able to escape from that now, because I know where that one ends. So hopefully I'll be able to go somewhere else. So... test luck. Okay, 256 is lucky. 132 is unlucky. Okay, so yeah, 132 in the next book, which is Scorpion Swamp. This is a very different structure to the previous ones. It's more open world. You can go in all directions. And also when you come back to places you've been before, different things might happen as well, which is kind of cool. Apart from the sword trees, which just starts repeating and repeating and repeating, which is very annoying and quite dangerous. So you want to avoid getting past the sword trees more than twice, I think, is probably the minimum. 256. I'm on 256. You are brave, or maybe just foolhardy, daring to cast spells at the evil sorcerer. That is foolhardy. Which spell will you try? Curse, fear, fire, illusion, or none of these? And this is where I suppose technically one could argue that I don't have any spells, but I think that for the sake of fighting fantasy roulette, sometimes you will have to make choices based on things you can't actually have access to, which means that I think I'll allow this and say that 351 57 and allow me to go off on any of these paths now. Let's double check what I've done before. So last time I did this, I went with the first option, 274. Let's see if I have any other ones from this place here. No. Okay, so that means that I've taken 274 before, but all the other options there are new, and they will lead me on paths I haven't been before. Let's go with 365. Yeah, number of days in a year. Why not? 365. Let's go with 365. Which will be in Caverns of the Snow Witch, and that's when I started playing this again. Now, the first book I played when I started playing Fighting Fantasy again, as you might know, is a Return to Firetop Mountain. I thought that was quite suitable because that's what I did as well. I wanted to get back to Firetop Mountain, and I enjoyed it quite a lot actually. And then I wanted to play something different that I hadn't played before, or a style I hadn't played before, and so I played Freeway Fighter. And then I wanted to do a more classic dungeon crawl book again, and then I went with Caverns of the Snow Witch because that's one I hadn't played before. So this is the third book I played after I rediscovered Fighting Fantasy, I suppose I could say. So right, so we are going to paragraph 365 in this book, which has amazing illustrations. The tunnel ends at a door which swings open before you even touch it. You look into a cavern and are surprised to see Red Swift and Stub, and that's the elf and the dwarf that you are being accompanied by for a little while in this book, kneeling in submission to a horrible robed creature with an octopus-like head. Two of its tentacles are wrapped around your friends' heads, and they are trapped by the hypnotic powers of the Brain Slayer, which is the Dungeons & Dragons Mind Flayer. They've stolen there, or borrowed, I don't know which. If you're wearing an Amulet of Courage, turn to 189. If you are not wearing this item, turn to 126. I'm not going to pretend that I have an Amulet of Courage, so I will go to 126 now, because it just doesn't feel right to make that choice. Even though last paragraph I didn't have any spells either, but it just, yeah. I just need to move on to a different path. So I'm going to, say that I don't have that, and I'm going to 126 in the scary, horrid House of Hell. Yes, the Hammer Horror themed book with lots of insta-deaths. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Ooh, we got a battle. You reach for the door handle and open it wide, but the sight that greets you makes you step back aghast. Inside the pantry, standing motionless, is a hideous figure in tattered clothes. Its face and hands are in a state of semi-decay, and the odour of death fills your nostrils. Your intrusion has woken it. Its eyes open and a hissing noise comes from its throat. A long tongue flashes out at you and the creature steps forward. Add 2 fear points. I'm not gonna keep a fear score for this. You must fight this ghoul, but you may grab a knife from the wall to use as a weapon. Add 3 skill points. Ooh. Right. As soon as it inflicts a second wound on you, turn to 186. Okay, so 8. So I've got 12, 24. It does say add 3 skill points, but that is actually assuming that you are unarmed before. So I'm going to ignore that because that wouldn't be fair. So I'm going to have my 12. I do have a sword already, so 12, 24, and he's got 8, 7. But I don't want to be hit by this because it's a ghoul. It can paralyze me. So I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 5. I roll 5. Okay. 5 stamina. He rolls 10. I roll 4. So he hit me once. Ooh. I don't want to get hit by him again now. I think that might be the end. 7. 9. Okay. I think that I want to use luck now to see if I can inflict some extra damage on him. So I'm going to roll against luck, yeah. And so he's got 1 hit point left, and I need to hit him now, I think. He rolls a 5, yes, I'm good. He is dead. Deader than before, all that stuff. And although actually it wouldn't be a problem if he, just occurred to me, it wouldn't be a problem if he actually paralyzed me, because I have to go to paragraphs to do it, which means I would go in the next book anyway, so it wouldn't matter. So they need to use that luck point. I'm going to let it stand though. I'm going to let it stand. So, in book number 11, which is Talisman of Death, I will then go to paragraph 29 for winning that. Could also have gone to 186, possibly. That is lose 2 rounds. The problem with making these maps now, it's the way I've done it, it's a little bit hard for me to see what conditions sometimes need to be met to actually go to some of these numbers, which is the mistake I made before, and I couldn't see that going to a certain paragraph actually involved a luck roll, for instance. So that's something I should sort out eventually. But I am on a different path now, so this is quite exciting. I don't know where this is going. Okay. Suddenly, your weapon is flailing at air. I'll just put my stamina down there. Flailing at air. The dragon has changed into an old man with long white hair, wearing a white robe. Spare me, I beg you, he implores in a thin, reedy voice. Spare me, I beg you. At last you have lifted the curse that was upon me. Only a strong warrior like yourself could have done it. I'm going to do that normal voice now. That's too tiring. When I came through the portal many centuries ago, I was doomed to stay in the form of a dragon until I was beaten in combat. Now that I am myself again, I can return to my world. Will you step through the portal with me? Will you agree and walk with him into the silver shimmering portal or attack him? And I can remember this was quite an exciting encounter actually in this book. I've forgotten about this one, but actually that's one of the ones I really... I mean, the Talisman of Death had some really nice things about it. A little bit different, I would say, which is nice. So, options for book number 12 are 12 or 77. So, let's see if I had any 12s here before. Yeah, no. Okay. Right, so shall we... I think I'll attack him. I'm going to go to 12, see what happens. But, of course, I won't attack him. I'm going to go into book number 12. The not the greatest fighting fantasy moment, the Space Assassin, and go to paragraph number 12. He glares at you, then faints. You make a cursory examination of the room, but find nothing. But finding nothing, head for the door. Turn to 327. Let's put my numbers down here. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's a bit ambitious, probably. 327. No choice there. So I'm going to 327 in... freeway fighter. I know some people think this is a bit of a excuse me, a bit of a lightweight as well when it comes to adventure, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's the setting appeals to me, and it has some nice things in it. It's, well, to be honest, it is a bit of a lightweight, and sort of in hindsight, I would say it is. But it does have some really exciting and memorable encounters. It's got the car race, which is epic. And I remember one thing that made me enjoy it more probably is that towards the end, I had a battle where I had the odds stacked against me, and I still managed to win because I did really good dice rolls. And that's one of those things that also makes it quite exciting, I think, and memorable to play a game book. So a lot of your experience of a book is dependent on how it goes in individual playthroughs as well. Not just the book itself. So it's not very often, though, that battles have been that epic. I mean, in terms of dice rolling battles, that is. There are truly epic battles in fighting fantasy, but most of them are based on going to paragraphs rather than to roll dice, which makes it more... It gives a lot more flesh on the bones, you could say. I mean, more descriptive battles because it's described in the words of the book. 327, yeah. You decide to wait until morning before driving any further. You wake early, but the short rest has done you some good. Add 1 stamina point. So we're up to 23 now. So that's +1 stamina. After reversing the interceptor out of the wreckage, you once again drive off south down the road. Turn to 254. So again, no choice. As we move into the Temple of Terror. I really liked this cover when I was young. I remember this cover vividly. But I don't think I played this book when I was young. I don't know why. I think I had it. I think it's one of those that I never got around to for some reason. So yeah, anyway. 254, yeah. The arrow misses its target and the pterodactyl closes in to attack. Ooh. Yeah, that means you've gone the wrong way in this book. If you meet a pterodactyl, you're in the wrong place. 363. No choice, again. As we go into the Rings of Kether, which I didn't deal with at all, really. The problem was with this book is I sort of won it, but I felt detached from the narrative of it, and it almost was like I could win without really knowing what was going on. I don't like that in the book. Okay, so 363. Which means that actually there's a lot of this book I haven't seen because I won it quite quickly. I probably wouldn't have seen more than 150, 200 paragraphs at most. So, anyway... The agriculture yearbooks proved to be weighty but rather uninformative reading. Well, I could have told you that. After a couple of hours of annual rainfall, bushels of wheat and so many tons of dead animals, you decide that agriculture is probably not what you are looking for. If you haven't already, you can look at statistics for manufacturing or transport. If you're sick of statistics, you could go and look through old Vidi News for references to organized crime. Okay, so we've got 3 options here. 324, 285, or 41. And the next paragraph is due to be in Seas of Blood. So let's see, what shall I go for? I'll go for 41. Seas of Blood, I did have this, and I didn't like it so much when I was young. And I played this again, and of course... There are elements to it that I really, really enjoy. I mean, really, really enjoy this book. But it's one of those where winning is a chore because you have to make so much gold. There's only one correct path. But the thing is that because of the way it's structured, it's actually very hard to find that path. And it just becomes, it feels like work rather than like a game. So to me, this is the only book I haven't actually finished playing, or no, I haven't actually won during these making of these videos. So 41. Your men lay into the cattle with ropes and knives. Only minutes after they start, a large force of heavily armed cavalrymen appear over a nearby. What I do like about this, of course, is the references to the Odyssey. Yes, I do like those. And of course, the eating of the cattle, that's a reference to the Odyssey as well. So there's a lot of inspiration has been picked from the Odyssey in this one. Right, so a large force of heavily armed cavalrymen appear over a nearby rise and approach your position. Drawing to a halt, the cavalry dispatch a herald towards you, who says, "Hear, O foolish pirates, that you have offended His Majesty, the King of the Four Winds. You are instructed to leave this island immediately or suffer the most dire consequences." Turn to 176. Right, okay, I see my camera stopped there. I'm not sure if I lost anything, but hopefully I'll be fine. Usually I can see it quite quickly when it happens. Okay, Phantoms. No, not the Phantoms. Appointment with Fear. I was thinking Phantoms of Fear there for a moment. Appointment with Fear, the absolutely super cool superhero book, and I just realized there's a blue dot there. It's not meant to be there, is it? It's a sticker. Huh. I hadn't noticed that before. Well, so I got Appointment with Fear with a blue sticker. I'm sure that's a kind of price tag from a charity shop, I imagine. Right, superhero book, and I really like the way that Steve Jackson uses clues in this book. He is the master of clues. Something I do mention every now and again because I quite appreciate a clue instead of having to guess blindly what happens. Okay, there is only one thing you can do from the ground. You step up to the radio and try to convince the tormentor, or this is at the airport when you're trying to stop the hijacked plane. Convince the tormentor of the folly of his ways. The madman gloats at your miserable pleas. And of course this is what happens if you can't fly, I suppose. The madman gloats at your miserable pleas, but from the tone of his voice you can tell that he is impressed. Roll 2 dice, and that is a check of skill, which I will automatically succeed because my skill is actually surprisingly this time 12. Let's just test skill, and I go to 49. Oh, hang on, it says less than skill. Okay, so it is possible to fail this, which is good. If I roll a 12, I do fail, so I didn't roll 12. Okay, so 260 fail. Okay, so 49. So I'm going to 49 in my next book. So the thing about skill tests, in most books it says a success is rolling the value of your skill or below, but in some books, very few, like Appointment with Fear, a failure is to roll the same as your skill or above. And that is better because it is. I mean, you should always failure should always be an option, I think. And then there are some books where it's messed up a little bit because of editing. Yes, I'm talking about Starship Traveler, where it's inconsistent and it's meant to be on your skill or below. But because of the way it's been worded and edited, it's been messed up completely, and sometimes that's not what it says. Lots of typos in Starship Traveler. It's just... It would have been so easy to fix if somebody had actually done it properly. It would have taken less than a day. I mean, seriously. Okay, so book number 18, Rebel Planet. I remember it took me quite a while to get through this one. I think that was 8 playthroughs or something like that. Tricky one. Very enjoyable. I really enjoyed Rebel Planet. Okay, one of my favorites. 49 is my paragraph. And there we go. If you were bitten by a sawtoothed rat, turn to 98. Otherwise, turn to 232, and that is quite exciting as well. When you go to, you have to pick up a sort of an artifact up in the mountains, and as you rummage around, there are 2 holes you can put your hand into. Big mistake usually. One of them has got a sawtoothed rat that bite you, and the other one's got what you're looking for. And if you get bitten by the sawtoothed rat, your balance actually is off. So when you go down the slope afterwards, and if you're bitten by the sawtoothed rat, there's a chance you can fall over and even break your neck and die, I think. Quite exciting stuff. Okay. So I was not bitten by a sawtoothed rat, so that's not possible unless you've been in a different paragraph in the same book. Now, of course, if I cycle through all the books, it is conceivable that you get to a point where you are bitten by a sawtoothed rat, and then you get to this paragraph again, and it asks if you were bitten. It is possible. It is completely unlikely, but it is possible. So of course I should keep track of these things if something happens, that if it says that you get bitten by something. Okay. So 232. And the next book is Demons of the Deep. Another American Steve Jackson book, this one. Same guy who wrote Scorpion Swamp, of course, and also, I believe, a Robot Commando. And he likes his more open world style books. So in this one, I remember the first time I played, or the first few times I played, the very first time, I just accidentally made a real shortcut for the end, and which means I missed most of it. But then I found a good path the next time, and it turns out actually in one path I can then get through most of the book and win even. So it's quite an easy book in a way, but then again it was also, the structure is different. It's quite interesting anyway. It feels very open world. 232. The statue strikes at you with its rod of stone, and you parry with your sword. The statue's feet are rooted to its stone slab, making it very clumsy, but it is terribly strong. Skill 6, terribly strong. Yeah. Okay, so I've got 1223. He has got 616. So, so I've got a 6 skill point advantage. So he rolls 6. I'm just going to do quick combat now, which means that if he rolls and I know that I will hit him, I don't roll for myself. Okay. So I have to roll that one. He can't beat me there, but I can still draw. So still have to roll. Not that quick after all, but there you go. That's can do that one quickly. 9, 5, and 7, 5. Okay. Last one I didn't have to do again. Okay, so 257, but there's also actually an escape option. 126 escape, which could be useful. I mean, in terms of fighting fantasy roulette, you could say, okay, I'll take the 2 damage loss, the 2 stamina loss, but I'll get to go a different route. Right, Sword of the Samurai. I'm getting very close to present day now for me in terms of which books I've played. So I understand that actually there's 2 possible paths to win this book. I took the so-called Western path. There's also an Eastern path. I was quite happy doing it the Western path. Now there's some bits about this book there's some things about it I don't enjoy so much. I do like the battle that's depicted on or the encounter I should say, that's depicted on the front, because of the way it combines dice rolls and combat rolls with paragraph choices. So something I've actually grown quite fond of over the last few books, because there's been a few cases of that sort of thing happening. So 257 in this one. The trident's tines bury themselves in your back. That sounds painful. If you're wearing armor, turn to 67. If not, turn to 39. Am I wearing armor? I don't know. So I'll leave both those as viable options. But I'll just say for the sake of roulette, let's say for the moment that I'm not wearing armor because I haven't thought about it. So I'm going to go to 39. And that means that I'm finished with all the books on my desk. I have to start picking new ones from my... Oh, let's just move this one down there. So next one is Trial of Champions. That sounds very familiar, doesn't it? I just played that. And I'm going to 39. That was my choice there. Okay. The impact of the crossbow bolt knocks you backwards. A fierce pain grips your thigh where you see the bolt protruding. Lose 2 stamina points. That could have been so much worse because that crossbow bolt can actually kill you if you're not lucky. Gritting your teeth, you pull the bolt from your thigh and bandage the wound as best you can. Limping painfully, you turn the corner and walk on another 50 meters before coming to a door in the right-hand wall. If you wish to open the door, turn to 104. If you would rather keep on walking, turn to 20. So we got 104 or 20. And I'm going to go to 104 to open the door because it rhymes, and that is cool. So, next is Robot Commando. And I'm going to paragraph 104. I don't know this one yet, but that is the one with the Transformers meets Jurassic Park. I think is how I described it by the looks of it at first glance. Looking at a hospital map, you see that the research lab is not far away. Carrying the book with you, you set off to find it and soon arrive at a large chemical laboratory. As you walked, you heard strange squeaks and shuffling noises in the hallway, but saw nothing. You are somewhat disturbed to note that there are no sleeping doctors or researchers here. In the lab, no sleeping doctors or researchers. That is an outrage. Everyone's awake and doing their job. Oh dear. What is the world coming to? Well, actually, no. No one is here at all. You bar the lab doors for safety and set to work. Fortunately, the instructions are clear and the lab is well stocked. Eventually, you have a 1-liter flask of blue potion. Ooh. All you can make with the materials at hand. Indeed, from the rarity of the materials you used, you doubt that another liter could be made in the whole of Thalos. Ooh. But you also know from the book that 1 liter would be enough for everyone in Thalos. Nevertheless, there is a problem. The potion is so volatile that once opened, it will quickly evaporate. You cannot awaken people one at a time. You must find a way to treat your whole nation at once. So your quest is not over. Outside you hear the strange squeaking once again. If you leave immediately, turn to 394. If you remain in the laboratory, checking your work one last time, turn to 372. So we've got 2 options there, 394 or 372. I'm going to go with 372. I'm going to check my work one last time. Okay, so. And that brings us to the next book, which is Masks of Mayhem, and the greyest cover of any fighting fantasy book. 372, yeah. You step safely from rock to slippery rock until you reach the south bank. Turn to 293. 526. 293. Not very exciting paragraph there, but sometimes that is just as well. And then we come up to the absolute monster. Well, it's thick and big, and also you're playing a monster, sort of. You're not a hero in this one, in a way. Creature of Havoc, 293. Quite looking forward to this one, actually. It looks very exciting and different. You leave the room through a door in the east wall. The door opens into a dingy corridor which is quite short and ends at a wooden door. When you listen at the door, you can hear conversation rising and falling in pitch as if 2 or 3 creatures, or humans, were locked into a long discussion. This is your only way onwards. Would you try the door and attempt to creep slowly into the room? 276. Or will you attempt to surprise whatever is inside by charging into the room with claws drawn? Turn to 66. Do you draw your claws? I thought it was with claws extended. You don't draw your claws because that implies that your claws are in a scabbard when they're not in use. So it's like you're walking around in a straitjacket with scabbards on your sleeves for your claws, and then you draw them. Yeah. Anyway, I'm definitely going to go in with my claws drawn. Zing. Okay. 66 in Beneath Nightmare Castle. Test your luck again. Okay, so test luck. My luck is 9. I rolled 9, so I am lucky, but my luck goes down to 8. Looks like I needed a luck potion this time and not a skill potion, but I have had quite a bad experience about skills. So 297 is lucky and 162 is, so that's lucky. Okay. I'll need another column here, which means this must be going really well. Previous record is book 28, I think. Yes, 28 is my previous record. I'm getting very close. So we have now in book number 27. Hang on, I'm 25. Yes, I'm a bit ahead of myself now. So I'm going to book 26. 297 is my next one. So there we are. That is Crypt of the Necromancer, as I rightfully call it, because Crypt of the Sorcerer is just a politically correct title that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Doesn't sound nice either. Okay. After 30 meters, the tunnel opens out into another chamber. The floor is littered with skulls. This book feels like it hasn't been opened before. Nobody's played this book before. I can feel the tension and the spine is as new. Oh my! After 30 meters, the tunnel opens out into another chamber. The floor is littered with skulls, each one looking as if it had been smashed by a blunt instrument. At one end of the chamber there is a heavy iron door, which is firmly bolted shut. As you approach, you hear a dull thumping on the door. At the other end of the chamber you see an archway which has a surround sculpted with demons and serpents. If you wish to unbolt the door, turn to 115. If you would rather walk through the archway and into the tunnel beyond it, turn to 264. I want to open the door, actually. If somebody is knocking, I should open the door. 115 in Starstrider. Yes. With a slightly cheesy cover. I quite like it, actually. Right, 115. There we are. Sci-fi again. Ooh. Nasty monsters. Okay. You get up and try to clear your head while you slip on the gloves. So obviously this is the first monster I've... Well, not the first monster I've fought, but it's one of the... I haven't met that many monsters this time. One of the other paths I did previously had lots of monsters. So, okay. So this is a 10-12 monster to fight. So I've got 1421. So 1421 versus 1012. 14. I don't have 14. I got 12. Where's the 14? 12, 21. Okay, so I've got 2 skill point advantage. I'm so used to Trial of Champions where I had 14, I suppose. And it's not a super easy battle, so let's see how it goes. So 7 and 6, yeah. I've got first blood. 3, 7, yeah, good. 9, 6, okay, I'm down to 19. 4, he's down to 6. 8, he's down to 4. 6, 10 is down to 2. And finally, perhaps 7 and 6. Yes, so victory is mine. 28. Let's put 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Okay. 16 is my next port of call. Okay. That was 115. There we are. Next book is Phantoms of Fear. I used to have this book when I was young and I didn't really get into it for some reason. I'm sure I would enjoy it more now. So let's see this. We want to go to paragraph 16. This also feels like it hasn't been played at all. You are unable to prevent the axe clanging against the side of the tunnel. The sound is magnified by the tunnel and carries clearly to either end. Patrols of orcs at one end and goblins at the other devise an amusing game, which involves shooting crossbow bolts along the tunnel for 10 minutes. Even if you were invisible, you would have no chance. Not all the bolts hit you, of course, but by the time the guards come down the tunnel themselves, you are too weakened by wounds to resist. Your adventure is over. And that means that, again, this is a tie for best score, but again, it is an insta-death in book number 28. I'm wondering, are there lots of them in book number 28? So that's the second insta-death in 28 I've actually managed to hit doing Fighting Fantasy Roulette. What are the odds? Well, it's like roulette, isn't it? They're not great. Okay, so maybe I can do I'll do one of these. Boom. Okay, there we are. I thought that was quite enjoyable. New path today, new encounters, new monsters to fight. Lots of luck rolls in this one, and it's getting quite tricky. Now the thing is, I'm beginning to think that because I now have to go several steps before I even get to a different place in these books, and maybe I should mix things up a little bit, and because at the moment I'm doing it in a way that actually is mappable. I'm wondering if for my next playthrough maybe I should start on book number 2 or skip a book somewhere, because it will just lead me down a completely different path. And because I just think it's more enjoyable when you don't know what's going to happen. And so instead of sort of trying to find the correct path from book number 1, which is what I have been doing sort of, I guess, I'll just play randomly. So I'm going to do that next time. Excuse me. Or another option actually is to go back one paragraph and make a different choice. I think I should do that actually. So I'm doing it sort of I'll just keep going in a way. Maybe that will be more enjoyable. I think that will be more enjoyable actually for me as well, because that means I will get to go through all the books rather than going through just the beginning every time. So I will go back to the previous paragraph or the previous one where there's a different choice, and then I will make that choice instead of the one I did. So I'm going to go back one book and go to paragraph 264. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I found that quite enjoyable. And that means that next time we are due to start, next time I do a Fighting Fantasy video, that is, which is later this week or next week, I'm going to be playing Robot Commando, brand new book. Not as mint as the other ones I had there. It's got a big fold down there as well. Yeah. Anyway, that'll be very exciting. So, any other business? Anything else I wanted to tell you today? Let me think. I can't think of anything. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, buy me a coffee, share this video on public playlists, click the banner ads and the adverts in the corner, and just generally watch my videos, because that's great. Oh, and by the way, if you sign up to YouTube Premium, of course, if you are a premium member, just watching my videos will also mean that you support my channel in more ways than one. So thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.